Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jasper, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Waters Lab Automation. We are thrilled to have you join us as we introduce an innovative solution in benchtop automation today, the AndrewPlus Pod. The AndrewPlus Pod further enhances the use of our award-winning, highly flexible, and user-friendly AndrewPlus instrument, making it an even better option when it comes to automating your various sample preparation methods. For those of you that don't know, AndrewPlus uses top-of-the-line electronic pipettes manufactured by market leader Sartorius in a fully automated way, while offering additional functionality through a series of connected devices for heating, cooling, shaking, solid phase extraction, and much more. You'll see AndrewPlus at work today during our webinar, but we're really going to focus on two complementary functionalities that the pod provides AndrewPlus: user and sample protection. For years, lab professionals have faced challenges balancing the need to automate methods while providing safeguards for both sample protection and user safety, especially when it comes to enclosures that are suitable for automation. With the AndrewPlus Pod, we are now offering an all-in-one solution that streamlines lab automation needs while providing top-notch sample or user protection that is critical to so many applications. Today, we'll briefly walk through those challenges, show you how the AndrewPlus Pod solves many of them, and even hear from Matthias Bittner, our guest expert from SCAN AG, who will share insights into the norms and regulations required for these types of solutions before explaining the extensive validation testing that SCAN has performed on the AndrewPlus Pod and why it's so important. Let's begin with a brief overview of the challenges faced by labs when it comes to enclosing automation in order to achieve these safeguards. Over the years, many of you have asked us, can the AndrewPlus benchtop robot fit inside my hood? This question naturally comes up, as there is clearly a need to protect users or samples in very specific ways, whether to comply with regulated norms, internal company policies, or ensuring that the working conditions of an automated setup match your scientific needs, period. Unfortunately, the short answer is not always. Great user safety and sample protection enclosures with excellent performance exist, and state-of-the-art lab automation solutions do too. But getting the two to function hand in hand without compromising on the effectiveness or potential of one or the other is a tall order. Next, this issue of mixing and matching solutions is amplified by the limited floor space available in most labs to begin with. Even if you were to have found the perfect combo, these solutions take up significant lab real estate. They often need to be custom built, they're expensive, and even then, are not entirely fit for purpose, as lab automation and hood manufacturers can never really fully integrate with each other's systems anyway. Finally, installing and validating a total solution composed of two independent systems is logistically laborious, often requiring multiple installation and qualification visits and multi-vendor coordination to pull it all together. Unfortunately, this all means that the burden of finding a compact, integrated, and validated solution that meets application and lab requirements is left on the users, you guys. So the need is clear. Labs require a compact, effective, and easy to integrate enclosure for their benchtop automation needs. The AndrewPlus Pod is a dedicated enclosure for the AndrewPlus instrument that is designed to bring those indispensable air filtration capabilities for various sample preparation settings while simply elevating the AndrewPlus user experience. With that said, let's now take a closer look at how the pod addresses the main challenges I've just described. Let's first show you and talk about the different possible configurations of the pod and how they directly address specific requirements in various lab contexts. First, air filtration is not always necessary for certain applications or needs. So let's start with our most basic configuration of the Androplus pod, as a simple dust cover. By enclosing the Androplus instrument in the pod, end users can benefit from the advantages of enclosing the robot, while also having the flexibility of upgrading to a different configuration later, as their needs evolve. An application that comes to mind for which this simple enclosure would provide the ideal working conditions is endotoxin testing, for example. Next, the Androplus pod can create a true vertical laminar flow with HEPA air filtration, a fundamental capability for workflows requiring the protection of samples from exterior contamination, notably in molecular and cellular biology. This setup is easy to install by mounting the following functional elements onto the top opening of the pod. First, the HEPA H14 filter, a high-efficiency particulate air filter used to remove 99.995% of particles greater than 0.3 microns. Next, the onboard ventilation module, which is a compact yet very powerful fan capable of blowing air into the enclosure at an average speed of 0.20 meters per second when spinning at 2,000 rotations per minute, largely sufficient to create a vertical laminar flow. And at the very end of the chain, a dedicated pre-filter module that's used as a first line of defense to protect both the ventilation module and HEPA filter from getting clogged up with large dust particles in the first place. With this setup, the constant flow of clean air blown onto your samples and out of the enclosure helps ensure that no exterior contaminants can find their way in, helping to guarantee sample integrity during automated runs, even with an open sash. This particular configuration has been tested against the stringent European ISO norms 14641 and 14643 for clean rooms and associated controlled environments. And it has even reached an ISO Class 5 rating out of 9, comparable to many Class 2 biosafety cabinets in terms of air quality standards. Our guest speaker, Matthias, will cover this and its implications later in the webinar. So stay with us a bit longer if this is of particular importance to you. Next, the Androplus pod can help customers with LC and LC-MS sample preparation workflows as well. Here, the need for an enclosure revolves around efficiently protecting users from exposure to the harmful gases emitted by certain chemical compounds. The Androplus pod can achieve this user-centric functionality when configured as a recirculatory filtration fume cabinet, or RFFC. This type of fume hood aspirates harmful gases out of the enclosure and captures them in the onboard ABEC filter before recirculating the clean air safely back into the lab environment. This setup is also very easy to configure by adding many of the same elements as for the vertical laminar flow model, but changing two primary things. The first is the airflow direction. Here, the ventilation module simply needs to be flipped so that air is aspirated out of the enclosure instead of being pushed into it. This naturally has an impact on the order in which the filters are placed as well, with the pre-filter module now needing to be positioned first, before subsequently adding the ABEC filter and then the ventilation system. The second change, and I've just said it, is the type of filter used. Of course, we're no longer using HEPA. Here, the acronym ABEC stands for the different types of gases that the filter can effectively capture. A, for organic vapors like toluene, xylene, and acetone. B, for inorganic gases like chlorine and hydrogen sulfide. E, for acidic gases like sulfur dioxide and hydrogen chloride. K, for ammonia and other related amines. So this configuration of the Androplus pod as an RFFC provides an easy way to have a fully operational, standalone, yet benchtop automated workstation that protects users without having to install dedicated ductwork in your lab. In addition, this configuration effectively meets and even exceeds the test requirements for European ISO norm 141753, with a very high containment performance rating given to us by SCAN. Our guest speaker, Matthias, will cover this topic as well in much more detail during his presentation shortly. Similarly to the RFFC configuration I just spoke about, The Andrew Plus pod can be fitted with a duct adapter instead of the onboard ductless ventilation module. This configuration enables labs to physically and efficiently connect their existing air extraction and filtration infrastructure directly to their enclosed Andrew Plus instrument if they so choose. It's important to note that switching between any of the configurations I've just mentioned requires no specialized tools or automation expertise, but merely a quick reconfiguration of the primary elements that compose the pod: the ventilation module and the filters. That's all. This way, the pod remains a fully flexible solution for labs where requirements can change from one project to another, or if the instrument ever needs to change lab environments entirely. Regardless of which configuration best meets the needs of your lab, we've taken the functionality of the Andrew Plus pod to another level by incorporating many features that we know our customers will really benefit from and enjoy using with their Andrew Plus robot. Today, I wanted to present just a few of these while explaining how they function. I'll start with a feature notably sought after by health and safety departments: the Integrated Safety Interlock. The Andrew Plus pipetting instrument is designed to be an open, benchtop tool that helps users just get things done. This means that being able to easily interact with it throughout a method is at the core of our product philosophy. However, for some customers, this comes at the potential cost of user safety regulations and/or method integrity. With the Andrew Plus instrument directly connected to the pod through a proprietary connector, the pod acts as an extension of Andrew Plus, and the two devices communicate their working status to each other in real time. This intimate connectivity notably prevents users from accessing the Andrew Plus workbench while the instrument is working, requiring an intentional push of the pause button on the pod before the opening of the sash is enabled. Similarly, if the door of the pod is open, users cannot begin or resume automated runs with Andrew Plus until it is closed. The simple 3-button control panel of the pod and the colored notifications make these interactions simple and clear to users. The interlock mechanism also protects methods from involuntary interruptions, helping to ensure that your methods reach the last step without a hitch. Next, it goes without saying that the Andrew Plus pod is made for Andrew Plus. Truly integrated solutions just work with each other, and this is absolutely no exception, with every aspect of the pod being designed with our Andrew Plus users in mind for a better overall experience. First, it's important to note that a precision instrument like Andrew Plus requires precise working conditions that simply aren't always guaranteed by standard lab benches or safety enclosures, as these solutions weren't necessarily designed with automation in mind in the first place. So the Andrew Plus pod creates the flat, stable surface that is critical to achieving optimized working conditions for Andrew Plus, not only making installation and validation of the system smooth and easy, but the ongoing usage of the instrument as well, including how accurately it can pipette. Speaking of benches, no compromises were made on optimizing this limited resource either. The Andrew Plus pod supports an entire Andrew Plus automation configuration with up to 11 dominoes and Device Plus units on benches that would otherwise host only a limited configuration due to their insufficient depth. Thanks to strategically positioned feet and optimal weight distribution, the pod enables a slight frontal overhang, essentially extending lab benches just enough to make this possible. Next, you may have noticed that your lab space is usually tangled up with at least a few cables, no? The Andrew Plus pod is equipped with a dedicated cable pass-through system with strategically positioned silicone-enforced openings throughout its bench. This makes it easy and clean to connect and organize multiple connected devices within the enclosure, while safely storing away the power bricks they require underneath the pod. These dedicated pass-throughs, combined with those already integrated on our connected devices themselves, entirely remove the clutter of cables and minimize the potential safety hazard otherwise created. This feature is especially relevant for more complex workflows that require multiple additional automated steps like heating, cooling, shaking, or vacuum-based extractions. The Andrew Plus pod also comes equipped with a specially designed tip waist that's embedded into the bench and positioned at the very front of the system. This solution not only has a large capacity for longer automation runs, but is optimally positioned for easy access and disposal of the solid waste, reducing potential contaminations of the workspace. Lastly, if your standard operating procedures and method audits require an extra layer of traceability, the Andrew Plus pod can also be used as a weather station by capturing and recording a range of important metadata. This metadata includes precise measurements of temperatures, humidity levels, atmospheric pressures, and volatile organic compound saturations. These measurements are visible to users through the OneLab software in real time during an experiment, but are also stored in the experiment record itself, providing a detailed trace log that scientists can refer back to when needed, for confirming that specific experimental conditions have been met, for example. Next, I wanted to cover some of the more intangible benefits of the pod that go beyond its simple core features. As always, we have strived to offer a solution that maintains our signature ease of use while adding essential functionality and a great overall user experience. And this optimized user experience starts right out of the box with a hassle-free installation procedure. Just like Andrew Plus, the Andrew Plus pod requires no specialized tools or automation experts to properly install and validate. Thanks to the easily adjustable feet, a quick connection to Andrew Plus, and an intuitive configuration interface in OneLab, installing the Andrew Plus pod is a quick and easy process that anybody can follow. But if you prefer, Waters Lab Automation can handle the installation and qualification of our devices for you in no more than a couple days, providing you with a total working solution for a perfectly enclosed and validated benchtop liquid handler without the hassle of multi-vendor coordination. Adding to the simplicity of this solution, the Andrew Plus pod requires hardly more bench space than the Andrew Plus instrument itself. I mentioned this before, but I'll go into the details. It needs only 57 centimeters of bench depth and just over a meter of available width. And this way, users can more easily find real estate to fit this total, more functional automation solution in their labs. Combined with the standalone nature of the air filtration system, means that advanced automation is easily accessible to all and possible in more locations across the lab. Next, interacting with the pod is intuitive, clear, and simple, with a minimalist design. This facilitates user interactions while still granting full control over its key parameters. The 3 buttons on the right panel of the enclosure have the primary functions of pausing and restarting the Andrew Plus and opening or closing the motorized sash. Through their secondary and tertiary functions, these accessible and easy to understand controls also provide users the ability to adjust fan speeds and control the LED lights that illuminate the inside of the enclosure when necessary. Additionally, the colored visual notifications that are synchronized across the system, from the buttons to the top panel, make it easy to understand the status of the workstation with just a glance. This way, identifying if there is an error or a user action required during a run is immediately recognizable. And with the instrument status also synchronized through OneLab, in-run notifications are naturally shown there as well, providing an additional layer of visibility, even if you're not physically in the lab. We hope that all of this functionality resonates with your use cases, in addition to the core user and sample protection the pod provides. Before giving the floor to our guest speaker who will cover the extensive testing done on the Andrew Plus pod to validate its performance, there are just a few more things this solution brings to the table, and that is flexibility, integration, and future-proofing, prerequisites to successfully building advanced configurations. First, sample-to-result workflows are only possible when multiple systems function hand in hand, both physically and through integrated software connectivity. As of such, it was imperative that enclosing the Andrew Plus liquid handler should not create a physical barrier that would make these end-to-end automated workflows next to impossible. So, The interchangeable side panels of the Andrew Plus pod overcome this challenge by allowing users to quickly and easily adapt the pod to different automation configurations. These specially designed panels create a seamless connection between the automated sample preparation steps done by Andrew Plus and a series of exterior devices used for data acquisition or extended workflows, all while maintaining that enclosed workbench we were looking to achieve. Today, these devices include the Plate Sealer Plus for automated plate sealing and the Acuity UHPLC system through the Automation Portal Plus device, both compatible with the Andrew Plus gripper tool for automated lab-run movements. That, combined with fully integrated data acquisition through Waters Connect, triggered by OneLab, end-to-end automation workflows have never looked so complete. All right, safety and performance go beyond great design. So it's now time for our guest speaker to cover these topics in more detail. Matthias Bittner is a subject matter expert and consultant for standards and cleanroom technology at ScanAG in Switzerland, and he's agreed to share his knowledge with us today. To ensure that the pod meets our user standards, Matthias and his team have tested the filtration and ventilation performance of this device in depth with their state-of-the-art methods. I'm sure we'll all learn a lot from his presentation. Welcome, Matthias. The floor is all yours.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matthias Bittner from SCAN AG in Switzerland, and I'm sitting in Allschwil near Basel at the site of the headquarters from this company. Thank you for your interest in testing methods for the Andrew Plus pod, a safety filtration cabinet, and we did a lot of tests with it, and thanks to Jesper Eaton, who asked me to present you the ways we tested this cabinet. At first, I would like to introduce my company and my coming from, and so I have to share a short presentation. I'm coming from the department Pure Solutions, and we are mainly concentrated on pure air with a lot of passion. With this passion, we tested the Andrew Plus pod, and the Andrew Plus pod is a special bidirectional safety filtration cabinet. What it is, I will explain later. Our core business from SCAN is isolator business. We are installing isolators globally. You can find us with filling lines, with cytostatic lines, with biosafety lines, with biosafety isolators, lab isolators, and so on. And for the installed devices, we are delivering life cycle support. Then we have a department, Pure Solutions, focused on the laboratory devices, mainly safety benches, fume cupboards, horizontal flows and vertical flows. And we have a big laboratory in our house with microbiology and bioindicator production. The SCAN Group collects 5 branches. It is founded in 1968. We are quoted on the stock exchange, and we are a lot of employees, 1,500, and growing fast. So we have 5 branches, one in Switzerland. It is the headquarters here, SCAN Stein AG, not far away from here. Then we have SCAN Germany, then we have SCAN Japan, and SCAN US. We have the aseptic technologies in Belgium. This gives a lot of performance in cleanroom technology, and the department where I am sitting is Pure Solutions with 50 employees and 20 service technicians for Switzerland. There's a lot of things to tell you about Pure Solutions, but time is very short, so I have to be brief with you. But if you are interested, please feel free to check this link out. In some, we have 20 service and qualification technicians, which are for you from delivery right to qualification. And we are delivering individual service options if you need some testings, special testings or special validations. So we are the right partner for you. My person is Matthias Bittner. I have a lot of service experience. I started at SKAN in 2002 as a head of the Swiss service department, which I led for 14 years. And since 2016, I'm in the service R&D. I'm developing new services, and in the same time, I'm active member of ISO working groups or 10 working groups and writing standards. Now we are coming to Waters automation, and we are asking, what does Androplus pod? The pod can protect you in a bidirectional way. We can protect with the pod the environment, or we can protect the product. How does it work? As a non-ducted fume cabinet, we have an active carbon filter installed on top. The air comes through the front opening, passes through the working chamber, is loaded with solvents or VOCs and sucked through the active carbon filter to the outside, and there has nothing to be anymore. Otherwise, you are contaminated in the lab because you are recirculating the air. This one we had to check out, so we made at first an VOC check, and under heavy IPA or VOC challenge in the inside, we made a lot of tracer gas, and in the outside we checked if there is coming at any place something to the outside, but there was nothing. That was very good. And we checked the inflow velocity at 5 points and looked the homogeneity of the inflow. And the air velocity was around 0.25 meters per second, a good value. Then we looked at the airflow and visualized this airflow with test smoke and an aerodynamic obstruction in front of this sash opening. And we looked how the smoke passes drawn by the air into the device, and remarked that there was at no place coming air from the inside to the outside. This is important if you want to work with such a containment. But this was not all. We made a SKAN contest, a containment performance test. We can test with a robot. This is the robot and the technician steering this robot, and the robot moves from the left to the right, an artificial dummy with 2 arms, and is making a lot of turbulence and challenge to the front opening. The front opening always is the interface between operator and internal part of something, of a bench, and therefore we are interested if there is any outbreak or not. And there wasn't. We had a good containment performance. We reached a CP2 out of 4. So this was not bad. If you are interested in the subtopic SKAN containment testing, please feel free to go to this link. It is too much to explain you all in detail now. Time is very short, so I have to proceed, but if you're interested, please contact me. Then we have the mode 2 for the Androplus pod as a vertical laminar flow cabinet. The active carbon filter is exchanged to an HEPA high efficient particulate air filter of the class H14. And now we had to check if this filter is filtering and what cleanliness of the air we have in the work chamber. We did this after the global cleanliness air classification. There we have 9 classes. The one is the best, also the cleanest air. And the testing procedure are prescribed in the -3 in this part of 14644. All technicians of the world are following these standards. We did at first the air velocity testing. Once again, we checked in the inside 30 centimeters below the filter surface, how is the distribution of the air velocities, and it was quite homogeneous, and we reached 0.4 meters per second. It is not slow, it's a good air velocity. Then we tested the HEPA filter, if it is leak free, or the integrity, filter integrity, if there is any hole or leakage. If there would be some, we cannot arrive or reach a good air cleanliness class. The testing procedures are following the standard ISO 14644. Then we tested with smoke and air visualization. Is it all coming from the inside to the outside and nothing going back, because you want to protect your product as it is signed here. And with smoke, we checked if there is any inhomogeneity or if we can see something strange, but it was quite okay. After all this, we went over to the cleanliness air classification with particle counters. We set up 2 particle counters and measured a distinct time, defined time, and then we remarked that we can arrive in the internal part following the standard ISO standard procedures, ISO class 7 in the lowest, and in the normal mode class 5. This is a good class, good air cleanliness class. And then Waters Automation decided to install the ENDRO+ robot, and they said, well, we want to know if there is any influence or any particles coming out of the robot. We repeated all the testings and moved with the robots, and there was the same good result. We didn't remark any particles in the air. It was very clean air with ISO 5. What does the ENDRO+ pod deliver for you? The ENDRO+ pod can protect in a bidirectional way. We have the environment mode with the active carbon filtration, as I presented in the step 1. And there we saw a good containment performance, and it can protect the product, your product, with a HEPA filtration H14, and is making particle poor air with a cleanliness class of ISO 5. This is very good and the standard for the safety benches. So we are at the end, and thank you for your attention in testing of safety benches. And if you have still any question, feel free to ask me, to contact me, to phone me, or to write me on mail. So good luck with your safety bench, and goodbye.
Thank you, Matthias, for all of your excellent explanations. We are very fortunate to have you here as a subject matter expert, because these topics are critical to understand in order to make the most out of the ENDRO+ pod. So thank you. All right, wrapping this all up together now. Here's what you all need to know. With the ENDRO+ pod, you benefit from several big features. First, a flexible air filtration system that adapts to your lab's requirements in terms of user safety or sample integrity, with each having been validated in depth by SCAN. You also benefit from an integrated safety interlock that meets the needs of health and safety departments while remaining intuitive and user-friendly. You also benefit from a slew of Made for Andrew Plus features, like simplified cable management, an extended tip waste, and environmental parameter monitoring. Overall, you also benefit from a great user-friendly experience, from the installation of the system to the minimalist yet efficient user interface. And lastly, you have the ability to take your workflows to the next level with future-proof and fully integrated options. So thank you all for attending today's session. We'll now open up the floor to any questions you may have. Both myself and Matthias are available to answer directly, so don't be shy.